Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast on a Wild Thought Wednesday. Dreary day in Chicago. The World Series is set. Rangers and Diamondbacks, we'll talk about that. We have the report cards out. Our report cards and grading continue with Adbert Alzolay today, the Cubs closer. And that Wild Thought Wednesday will take us to a strange and bizarre place potentially today. But maybe not as crazy as you think. Because I will admit, I thought it was absurd, this idea. When I first heard it, I thought, this is Cody's craziest thing he's ever said. And then he sort of talked me into it.
Don't you love it when I can talk you into something?
Yeah,
because
it really is
because
something.
it normally doesn't happen.
We can't let that happen often.
No,
Can't
not
let it
very
happen.
often at all.
Well, number one, you can't let it happen. And number two, it normally is pretty crazy. I will admit, big of me to admit that most of my, my wild thoughts, as we are calling it, are crazy. But this one, I was like, big brain energy, baby. So
Big brain energy. Well, you put on your Jays today, you put on the Jordan 1s, and he
it's
thought,
the Bulls home opener
Hey.
night. This is the best part of the Bulls season.
Bulls
before
season,
they play a
this is it.
game.
This is the most optimistic I'll be about the Bulls probably for the next 5 years. Today, right here. And then tomorrow,
Yeah, makes
right
sense.
down
And then
there,
it continues
yeah.
to go
Not
down.
It
even
and
tomorrow,
continues to
go
go
downhill.
like tonight. That's
Yeah.
like
Right.
One
you're
might
right.
say the
11
optimism
o'clock.
doesn't even exist, but if you want to call it optimism, it's only going to continue to go
By
down.
7:45 tonight, probably all over.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, they are like 1.5 point favorites over on the books. So
I
Vegas
see the
likes
live
them.
chat is going. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. Best way to enjoy the experience. And also check out the CHGO Locker. We got lots of cool merch, lots of good Bulls gear in there to start the season. The Hawk stuff is great. And, of course, don't forget Meatball Island. We were talking about,
we need one.
wild thoughts. Before we get to the Wild Thought Wednesday, let me give you what I had to admit on Twitter last night. I would have predicted the Diamondbacks fourth in their division.
Going into the year, yeah.
Fourth in their division. If you'd asked me to lay out that West in the National League, couldn't have put them higher than fourth.
only the Rockies below.
Only the Rockies below them.
I remember saying in the preseason that I didn't think they would make the playoffs, but I thought they would be a competitive team that would be annoying to people. But
Well, it's
I
a good
didn't-
division. It is a good division. I'm not saying that.
But I'm
especially
just saying that like I thought that they could win 70-some games, and like comparably to the last couple years that they had, that would have been a huge improvement for them. But obviously they even surpassed those expectations that I had.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead,
yeah, because
sorry.
like where you rank them, I mean, you assume the Dodgers. I mean, they did win 100 something games right this year. The Padres, we saw like they underperformed for sure, but like we expect them to be a lot better. And who else am I missing in that division? The Giants were supposed to be at least a playoff contender, and they were for a while. I think they kind of faded
Be
back
mid
at the
like
end
they
too.
always are. Yeah.
I probably would have agreed with you, like Diamondbacks fourth, but I also would have agreed with you, like that they would be like a little frisky, fun kind of team that
Kind of like the Cubs of 2022, but with better talent.
at like the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
but
like-
not too many people picking them to be in the World Series.
No. Like
No.
the playoffs would have been like, I think the playoffs for the Diamondbacks was like a good outcome, right? Like we talk about the Cubs in 2023, like had they made the playoffs, that would feel more like a successful season than where they ended up.
Yeah.
I think the Diamondbacks were roughly in the same boat because I don't think their talent level is much higher than what the Cubs had this year. I mean, they won 84 games this year, one more than the Cubs. Like,
Thanks for the reminder. Thank you.
they felt like a good, not great team.
Yeah.
But even that, like when you get in the playoffs, if you start playing baseball, like if you get hot at the right time in the playoffs, like anything can happen. We see it all the time. We saw the opposite true with like Nick Castellanos, and like he was hot in the series prior, and then this series, did he even get a hit?
I thought he had didn't he have like one good game against the Diamondbacks, or maybe I'm just thinking against the Braves.
Yeah,
I don't
but like
know.
maybe like but like he got
together.
like the Phillies just kind of got cold in those last 2 games, and the Diamondbacks just
The entire
again,
lineup
they
got cold.
just stayed
Honestly,
hot.
I mean, outside of Schwarber, I mean Turner and Harper got cold these last.
Even
2
a great lineup can go cold.
So that's what I'm saying. So like if you're the Diamondbacks, and I mean the same goes for the Cubs, except I don't know how that bullpen would have held up in the playoffs. Like I don't know that I see them making this kind of run the way that things were going in September. I can't see them going on this kind of run. But I mean, I can't say for sure that they wouldn't, because anything can happen in playoff baseball. But I mean, yeah, Diamondbacks were a fun team that earlier in the season, like for a little while, was leading the West, and we're like, okay, this is actually a pretty good team. And they slowed down a little bit, but managed to get in, and now they're going to the World Series.
They have I mean, I know they're in the World Series, but like they were everything that I wanted the Cubs to be this year in terms of like the vibes. Like, I tried to manifest like 2015 vibes in this Cubs team. That's what the Diamondbacks were this year. They had the young players. I mean, they even called up Jordan Lawler late in the year, and he hasn't even done anything in these postseasons. He's been sitting on the bench the entire time, and he's one of the top prospects in baseball. But Corbin Carroll is their version of Chris Bryant, right? Like he's going to win Rookie of the Year. He's he was the top prospect coming into baseball this year. Alec Thomas, Chicago kid. He, the overall season numbers aren't great, but he's been huge for them this postseason. Young guy. Ketel Marte, he's their version of Anthony Rizzo. Been there during some of the rough years, and he just won an LCS MVP. And then they got Zach Gallen, an ace. You can call him the Arrieta or the Lester, whatever you want to call him. And even Merrill Kelly has been very good for them. Tommy Pham was a great, deadline pickup that has been like a veteran leader for their young team. I hate saying it because I hate him, and then Evan Longoria too. I mean, he's been there all year. He's been in the league for like 15 years. So you can call him the David Ross or whatever for them. Like look at
Brandon Pfaadt too. Like
he
didn't
guy.
have like good numbers.
No,
in the
he was
regular
all
season.
I was telling Luke that Brandon Pfaadt was a guy. Like I remember we did post game after a game that we lost to the Diamondbacks, and he pitched. And we were like, how is the hell did this guy have a 6 ERA and we can't hit off him? Well, he shut down the Phillies not once, but twice.
Yeah. He's shoving in the play. He got 2.70 ERA in his 4 starts in the playoffs. He's not going super deep into games, but for the time he's out there, he's for the time he's out there, he's pitching well. And for a rookie, going on a World Series run now, a pennant win, like, how much more can you ask out of that guy?
Right.
Like that?
They've gotten way more, like, they've exceeded everything that they could have ever thought of this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with just, like, the young guys that they had come up. Obviously, they're they're 21st in payroll in baseball. Like,
most people are saying, hey, the Phillies choked today, okay? But you guys, I wasn't going to go here, but give me camera, the other camera here, Sarah. Give me the other camera. This is
the
important.
Other camera.
This is important.
It was already on there.
The Cubs better pay attention to last night, okay? You better pay attention, Chicago Cubs, because 2 years ago the Rangers lost 102 and the Diamondbacks lost 110. And this season, they're the team that the Diamondbacks are the team that kept you out of the postseason. What'd they do? They won 6 out of 7 games against you late in the season. But they still finished just 1 game ahead of you. That's how fine the line is. So the next time you think about playing Hosmer for 5 more games, remember, 1 game separated you from the team that made the World Series. 1 game. The next time you think, I don't know if we want to spend the extra $20 million on that free agent or $100 million on that free agent. Remember, 1 game separated you from a team that's in the World Series. Remember, that final playoff team is now in the World Series. And what separated you? A single tiny game. So the next time that player's out there thinking this summer or this winter, maybe I won't work out today. Maybe I don't need to work on my defense. 1 game separated you from the World Series team. It's a small little difference. So the next time you're thinking to yourself at the winter meetings, are those prospects really worth giving up to get that 1 more star player? One single game separated. It's a fine line in baseball. And by the way, while you're thinking that, don't forget the most important part, and here it is. Every team behind you is thinking that about you as well. Wow, look at the Cubs finished 2 games ahead of us. What's it going to take to pass the Cubs next season? Maybe it's this $10 million move. Maybe it's this free agent. So you better not say, well, we can be status quo and continue to grow incrementally towards the next World Series. These teams in 2 years went from 100-loss teams to the World Series. Mm-hmm. And so you better not rest on your hands this offseason, because if you do, you know where we're going to be next year?
Right here.
Sitting here doing the same show.
Grades in October.
Yep.
Great. We'll be grading, and we'll be out fishing on the ocean while everybody else is out playing baseball. And I mean, that's crazy to think about. They lost 6 of 7 to this team,
one game,
and they still only finished 1 game ahead of the Cubs, and now they're playing in the World Series.
Yeah, one change the outcome of one of those games, and they Cubs are in the playoffs.
If that doesn't motivate the Cubs this offseason, seriously, like I kind of laugh at the chat. Mm-hmm. No offense to the chat. Some people in the chat, when early in the season, you're saying, why is Hosmer playing again? Why is Mancini doing this? We're throwing away games that matter. It's like, yeah, but guys, it's a marathon. It's 162. The team that beat them out by 1 freaking game is now in the World Series. So while Ryan's right, I don't think if the Cubs made it, they were going to make any noise in the postseason. You don't know.
You never know.
You just don't know, because that's the quirky thing. I don't know if the playoff format is right, but that's what it is. So a team like the Diamondbacks can end up in the World Series.
Yeah.
Well,
the Godfather doesn't like it. He doesn't like that.
I have a take on that.
A team can finish 16 games out of first and make the World Series.
Well, what are you going to do then? Just have division winners and eliminate wild card? Go back to the old school days?
Yeah, let's go
I'm
backwards.
okay with that, but then we have, you're even further from getting to the postseason.
Right. What I was going to add to what you're saying is, like, I know the Rangers spent money, but they were also like the 5 seed for the American League. It's not like they won their division.
Right.
They were a wild card team too. And related to what Collada said, the 83-win St. Louis Cardinals in 2006 got in and they won the World Series.
Yep.
This shit's been happening for years, bro. It's been happening for years. That one makes me really, really freaking sick. And so does the 2011 St. Louis Cardinals, who were like 8 games back in freaking September, somehow got in because I think it was the Brewers or the Astros. I don't know if the Astros were still part of the Central, but some team shit their pants at the end of the year, and they got in because they got hot, like the Diamondbacks did, and the Cubs got cold, right? And what happened? David Freese happened, and they won the World Series. I'm so tired of the like give credit where credit is due. The teams got in and they got hot.
They deserve to be there.
Yeah. They deserve to be there.
They beat the – am I wrong? Go back. Is it the Brewers, Dodgers, and Phillies? Is that who they beat?
The Brewers, Dodgers, and Phillies.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me they got lucky?
No, and I'm with you, Cody, in that, like, it always feels – and football's a little different because they only play 1 game. They're not like a series. It's 1 game, so, like, really in 1 game anything can happen. But, like, in the NBA –
it's chalky.
It feels like most of the time, and I know there's always upsets, but most of the time the better teams win those series.
Same
right?
thing in the NFL.
But what I'm saying is, like, NFL, there's a little more of like anything can happen in this game because it is
just
one
1 game. Yeah,
couple fumbles.
Like the fact that teams that were wild card teams that barely got in can very much just get hot and go to the World Series in baseball. That's what I love about baseball, man. It's you really do just got to get in there and see if you can make some noise. Again, I'm gonna say I don't think the Cubs would have, but we don't know that because we're seeing the Diamondbacks make noise right now against some of the best teams in the playoff the playoff bracket, right? So I'm going to sit here and disagree with the Godfather, in that I love the fact that teams that were towards the bottom of the playoff standings and the playoff bracket had to fight and claw their way past really good teams to get to the World Series. I love that. I love that they had to do that because it shows teams that are on the, in sort of more in the middle of the standings that get in there and anything can happen. Like there are so many teams.
More
in other
teams will
sports.
try.
It's why you got to try and get in every year.
Oh my God,
that's why that sustained success is key that the Astros have had.
That's why we talked about with the Cubs at the trade deadline. People were saying they're not going to do anything anyway, like just sell, whatever. Even when they had worked their way back to like right there and into a buyer's position. And I'm like, why wouldn't you keep this team together that has actual playoff aspirations, and why wouldn't you keep that team together and see what they can do? Of course it didn't work out, right? But like keeping them together and trying to get in is so much better than selling and waving the white flag 2 months left to go in the season. I don't like that. And so I like that teams like the Diamondbacks show you if you get in and you get hot, anything can happen. I like that a lot.
I sort of made fun of the Diamondbacks like a month ago when the Cubs started losing to them. Like, you're gonna let Arizona keep you out of the postseason? What's so great about the Diamondbacks? Well, you know what?
They're a pretty good team.
They showed you.
When I was in Arizona, and listen, when I was there,
the Cody curse, we remember.
Oh yeah. Well, Cody went there, and all of a sudden the Diamondbacks rocket ship. We should have you. PHNX should have you on.
They should hire you.
All right, go ahead, Cody.
We can move on now. I don't even want to say what I want to say.
Go ahead, Cody. Say it.
Cody said last night he wanted to hug me someday, like the PHNX people were hugging each other.
I would love to hug Luke. I would like to hug Luke the way that I watched my guy Derek.
Like a
and
Big
I'm not
Dave
gonna lie,
hug.
Cody. I'm a damn good hugger. I'm a hugger.
Big Dave hugs?
Yeah.
Well,
as good as his?
my kids have a book called The Hug Machine, and it's a little boy with a cape that goes around and makes people feel better by hugging them.
Cute, yeah.
Big Dave he's the big hug machine.
Yeah.
If you've never had a hug from Big Dave, it just changes your soul for the day.
It does.
Anyway, I guess.
Sorry.
I'll say it. What I was going to say when I was out there, like I know the Cubs, they hurt themselves a lot in those games, but it just felt like when I was in the ballpark, it felt like the Diamondbacks just didn't let up. Like, if something didn't go their way, they found a way to bounce back, and that's what they did against the Phillies. I mean, they were down in the series.
I wrote them off.
They were down in the series. I thought they were done. And then Barb's favorite person, Craig Kimbrell, decided to blow 2 games. So, like, it's just what it is what it is. I'd rather give credit to the Diamondbacks for getting where they are, and I like the parity. I think that's one word that we haven't mentioned during this conversation is, like, in the NBA and the NFL. Like, when you think about the NFL, it's like, okay, it's Patrick Mahomes' league until it's not anymore, right? You feel like that every year, even when the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl because they have the best quarterback in the league. The NBA, it's like, for the longest time, it was like, all right, is LeBron going to do this or is it going to be Steph? Like in baseball, we haven't had a dynasty team since the Yankees when I was like, I don't know, 8 years old. And the closest thing that you can say that's a dynasty in baseball now is maybe the Astros.
Yeah, 7 straight.
And that
NLCS.
includes a World Series in which they got caught for cheating. So, like, every year it's a new team that wins. Yeah. And there's always surprise teams that do something. Like the Phillies were a surprise team last year. They were the 6th team the 6th seed in the NL last year and got all the way to the World Series. They didn't win, they lost, but they still got pretty far. Like, I like that's the one thing that I love about baseball comparably to all those other 2 leagues is like there's always parity. There's always, if you get in, anything can happen. It's not like how I feel about the Bulls. With the Bulls, they get that last playoff spot or whatever this year. I'm just gonna be pissed they didn't tank because it's chalky every year in the NBA almost. You might get some upsets like Ryan said earlier, but like in baseball, it's just like every year. There's always some sort of Cinderella or like crazy story or something happens and teams do it. And that's why, to round it out, that's why the 2016 Cubs were so special, man. That team was the best team in baseball from April 11th or whatever that date was that they never left first place ever again. They were the best team in baseball from that moment all the way to the very end to when they won Game 7. You know what? They were down 3-1 in that series, and they figured it out. They realized, okay, we can't lose another game. And what they did, they won the 3 games. They won that team was special. That team was great. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like it goes both ways. You can have the Diamondbacks win 84 games, and sure, yeah, the Cubs let them get in because of their own stupid shit, but
all the Cubs have to do is split some of those. You know, win like 2 more of those games against them, and that could have been your
Or the
opportunity.
Marlins when they got swept in Miami.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
yeah, we could go back a lot of games. There's no question about it. There's a lot of what if you did this? What if you did that?
Yeah.
Godfather still just wants to see the best teams, period. I say the best teams should win the damn games and make the World Series themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
I don't think teams should be
rewarded.
rewarded for just being very good over 162. Like, great. Like, you get higher seeds, you play the lower teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, win the games.
Then,
That's me.
To me,
That's just how I
then
feel
you
about
have. This will never happen because of money and TV. But then you have to have 3 division winners, and the next highest win total.
Yep.
Period. That's the only way you can do.
Well, it used
if
to
you
be
want to
like
have
that.
the best
Well,
teams,
yeah,
the
from like-
old school way, just either
20
division
years ago.
winners in that way,
Well,
or
shit,
just
you
do
named-
the division winners.
And not even 20 years ago.
Like
They used
10
to.
10
used
years ago?
Yeah, like 10 years ago, it was just one wild card
Yeah,
team.
before they had the 2, yeah.
Yeah, and then they added a second wild card team like right around when the Cubs went to the wild card in 2015.
Yeah.
Imagine if that team had won 97 games and missed the playoffs.
Well, what's another way you could do it? You just eliminate where people stand in divisions because you still have people playing that way, but you have the even schedule, and then you just take the top 6 records and play a tournament.
I don't
Top
know.
12 records and play a tournament with the top 12 record. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just like
I'm okay with this.
I'm just over the people that wanna that hate that were blaming the playoff format because the Braves didn't do well or all these other teams didn't do well.
Look at
Like
the teams Arizona beat. That's not a fluke.
Like a few days rest cannot be the reason that these teams just fell apart, man. I refuse to believe that.
Yeah, I don't know.
They earned it. It's a little hard to watch, and I don't know if it's the most exciting World Series, but I'll still watch it.
It's not.
I know a
I'll
lot of
still
people are
watch it.
bummed that it's like Rangers, Diamondbacks outside of
But they're still
Arizona
fun
and
teams. They're
Dallas.
still fun teams to watch.
The true real baseball fans will be interested in this World Series. Unfortunately for ratings, like MLB, was rooting for the Phillies last night.
The Phillies
I
and
was
the
rooting for the
Astros.
Phillies.
They
I
wanted Phillies
them.
Astros.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's like Bryce Harper. That's a name that if you think about baseball, most people in the world know, right? But when you think of the Diamondbacks, it's like, who's on this team? If you haven't followed the team at all, you haven't watched baseball all season long, you hear, oh, who are the Diamondbacks? You're like, I don't know one player on that team probably. Rangers, okay, maybe Seager, Scherzer,
Right.
like there's bigger names on the Rangers for sure, but like for sure the MLB was definitely cheering for the Phillies last night. And so for ratings, yeah, MLB is not going to get much, but hopefully the series is fun. Like I'm excited to watch it, and like I said, I think the real people who like baseball in general, they'll watch.
Ratings or whatever. MLB's still going to make a lot of money on this World Series. It's okay.
You're right about that.
They'll be all right.
We're going to talk Wild Thought Wednesday, and that's coming up after the break, and how actually these two teams being in the World Series could impact a Wild Thought Wednesday moving throughout the offseason here. But first, I want to tell you about our new partner, Empire Today. They keep, you want to go shopping for flooring again? They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with 1,000 choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles for you. And their virtual floor designer is a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how those new floors will look in your room. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to somebody today who's been working in plumbing yesterday. Flooring is all that Empire Today does. We live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. Schedule a free home in-estimate today. All listeners from CHGO can receive a $350 off discount. You ready? 350 bones when they use the code CHGO. That's the code is CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. A discount of $350. Can't go wrong there.
Absolutely not. So like we've kind of mentioned a few times, Bulls home openers tonight.
Yeah.
And again, this is the most exciting day for every Bull season.
Before it goes downhill.
Especially since Derrick Rose left this team.
When
So-
D-Rose got hurt is how Phillies fans feel today.
I disagree.
Worse? We felt worse?
I think we felt worse. I know I sure as hell did.
They still got the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. They still have the
You're
Eagles.
right.
What I'm getting at here is that if you're like me, you get excited for this because when I think of the Bulls, all I can think about is all the Jordans that I have, right?
Right.
And
Credit to
like
you.
I like to wear, like I'm wearing my ones today, like they're one of my favorite pair of shoes, and like you too can have a shoe addiction like me thanks to Soul Savvy. All right, don't miss out on the biggest sneaker drops and download Soul Savvy, the Drops app as they call it. Soul Savvy has been around since 2018, and their mission has always stayed the same: get sneakers into the hands of people who love them the most, like me. All right. The Drops by Soul Savvy app makes it easy to keep up with the latest news, releases, raffles, and sales in the sneaker world. It is your one-stop shop for everything sneakers. You never miss a release again. You'll get instantly notified whenever your size is available to buy. They have free raffle management. Keep track of all the raffles that happen in sneakers with their raffle tracker. Their release calendar is very useful. It's accurate. It's an accurate release calendar that will keep you updated on releases that are upcoming. Whether you're a casual buyer like maybe Luke or Ryan, or an all-out sneakerhead like me.
I mean, look at
Cody,
the
can
graphic.
you
The
move
Soul
your
Savvy graphic has the pair
Yeah.
of shoes
That I'm
you're wearing today.
I'm telling you, I love their app. It's the
you go.
best. But whether you're like me or like Luke or Ryan when it comes to shoes, Soul Savvy has something for you with 3 different levels: the basic version, the mobile plus, or premium. I actually have the premium version. So one big drop coming up on October 28th. Soul Savvy's dropping the Air Jordan 12 cherry shoes. I know Nick Moriano has the 11s. 11s,
But not the
cherries,
12s.
But not the 12s. I kind of don't let me talk myself into them. Be sure to check out the Drops app to check them out. Sign up for Soul Savvy by clicking the links in the description below or by visiting links.soulsavvy.com/CHGO or head over to the App Store and download the Drops by Soul Savvy app. Yes, we finally are doing something with shoes at this company.
I can't think of
God
the
bless.
12s, what the 12s look like. Now, I have that pair because I have Soul Savvy too, and that's how I, linked up with the ones,
Yeah.
the OGs.
I
12s,
don't know
huh?
how to explain them to you, but they're
We'll show
They're-
you them after.
yeah, they're better than the 11s in terms of what they look like in
Oh.
my opinion.
So if you want to look better than Nicholas Moriano,
Yeah. Which is hard to do
get
because
that Soul Savvy.
Nick Moriano might be one of the best looking guys in this office, so it's hard to do that.
Right, and the hair powder and the gel that he
Yeah,
uses and all
sure.
that stuff and the shades.
Yeah.
It's very true.
But anyway, yeah, like tonight I'll be at home watching the Bulls game and I'll be wearing my Jordans because that's just what I do. Just for the opening night game, of course.
For sure.
You're checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast right now. Welcome to Meatball Island for all of those that have never seen or listened to our show before. Today is Wild Thought
just
Wednesday.
visiting. I'm just visiting Meatball.
Ryan's just here because everybody likes a good meatball.
On vacation.
Everyone just
Meatball
likes a good meatball.
Ryan might not be a meatball, but he smelled him as he was walking by the door, and he was like, "I'm going to go check out Meatball Island." And here we are for Wild Thought Wednesday. What's the wildest thought? We're going to find a way to make the Cubs a World Series contender next year. It's going to take some bold thinking. We've said, they can't just go status quo and wait for the prospects to get good. They got to spend money. They got to make creative trades, and they have to draft right.
Yeah.
Well, right now, we're thinking about the other two, signing guys and trading. But the creative part really is the trade portion, right? You got to find, how can you get a trade? How can you get your next Jake Arrieta? Can you ever recreate anything like that again? I don't know. But you better start working those avenues right now. So I said to Cody, what can we do for Wild Thought Wednesday? Here's the deal. Teams don't make the World Series, and owners get cranky.
Yeah.
Right? Owners get angry. And so I started thinking, who are the trade partners that teams are? Well, we know the White Sox are going to start peddling more of their guys. So maybe Dylan Cease is a Wild Thought Wednesday one day. Who would be another one? We said, well, who hasn't? Maybe the Astros start to break up that team because now their manager's going to be gone and their payroll's pretty expensive. We've said the Padres are probably going to have to start unloading players because it's too expensive for them. They can't stay up there in that payroll for too long. We've seen the Mets unload guys. What about the Blue Jays? The Blue Jays are a team that every year I sit here and say, all right, I'm picking the Blue Jays to finally get to the World Series and win it. They're never there.
Yeah.
They're known for their flops. They're the LeBron of the Major League Baseball. They're flopping all the time.
They have been major postseason disappointments.
They got to mix things up.
Yeah.
They tried it. They've made trades before, right? Who would the Blue Jays be willing to trade to the Cubs that we'd be interested in acquiring? And Cody throws out, looks at me right in the eyes, dead in the eyes. Cody Delmendo looked me in the eyes and said, Vlad Jr. And I laughed. I'll admit I laughed.
You did.
But then Cody started throwing out facts. You want to tell me some of the facts why this is
not FAX facts?
No.
FACTS.
Yes.
Real,
These
like
are
the
real
Ryan
facts.
Yeah.
These are factual facts.
Yeah. You want to talk about facts? These are facts. All right. I brought up Vlad Jr. because, again, what Luke said related to a team that needs to shake it up. Well, Vlad Jr. is coming off his worst season of his career, arguably, outside of his rookie year, when he was just 20 years old. He had played 123 games. But this past year, he only missed 6 games. He played 156 games.
So he was available.
He was available. He wasn't hurt. All right. 26 homers, 78 runs scored, 94 RBIs in 682 at-bats or play appearances, 9.8 walk rate, which is above league average, 14.7% K rate, which is well below league average. That's very good, actually, especially when you go with that walk rate. 264 batting average, 345 on base, and a 440 slugging, a 118 weighted runs created, plus the same as Ian Happ, as we mentioned yesterday. But a 1.0 F WAR, and I want to say that the defense is part of it is because of defense.
He was awful defense.
He was awful defense. They had minus 13 outs above average at first base.
Well, we got a spot for him. DH.
Yeah, well, I mean, my reasoning for bringing him up is that for his standards, right? 2 years ago, the guy was a 6.3 F WAR.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He hit 48 bombs in 2021, drove in 111, and had a 166 weighted runs created, plus with a 311 batting average, 401 on base, and 601 slugging. That's the peak. That's the peak. Thing is that year he was 22 years old. This year he was 24. So in 2 years later, he's fallen that far down. Again, 26 homers still good. Drove in 94. The slash line is fine. I would like the slugging to be well above 500. But the reason I think that perhaps you could trade for him is next year will be year 3 of arbitration. So he's 2 more years of control. And again, the Blue Jays need to shake things up, and he just hasn't been it for 2 years. I mean, even the year before, he was 2.9 F WAR. Comparably to the 6.3 that he had, in 2021, he's trended down since then. And again, with only 2 years left of control, this is probably the most value they could get for him right now, I guess, unless they, ideally they're probably thinking, oh, he's going to get back to what, like at least 2022 standards, like a 3 WAR player, maybe next year.
It's not a fall. It's not a fall as bad as Bellinger had.
Right.
But when you go from 6 to 3 to 1, basically in F WAR, it's a steady decline offensively. Even though the old school numbers that I like to look at tell you, oh, he's still a pretty good player. Right. So the Blue Jays might think, Cody, well, we're not going to sell low. We're not going to sell. Mm-hmm. That's okay. What if the Cubs are willing to still buy high on the guy? Because they've got to make a bold move.
He's going to be 25 next year.
You see a guy who's trending down, and you're still willing to pay up, even though the numbers tell you maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I think that's the exact scenario that the Blue Jays are selling him for, is like he's still only 24. When does he turn 25? I don't know when exactly he turns 20. He's still young and not in his prime yet. Like that.
He'll be 25 March 16th.
There you go. So like right at the start, right before the start of next season, he'll be 25.
We could give them a young Christopher Morel who's just as young.
So,
his numbers are going up.
I think the Blue Jays would look at it as he's a young guy, had a couple downer seasons, but it's still a pretty great bat. Maybe the defense, who knows if it ever gets there, but they're going to be selling him on he's 25, still an elite bat, and he's only going to get closer to his prime with 2 more years of control left. I think that's how they're going to be selling it.
Oh, the price I'm not saying the price tag would be cheap, but when you look at numbers, what Cubs players had similar F wars to Vlad Guerrero Jr. last year? Now, I wouldn't even have thought to look at this until Cody.
Guys like Dansby, Nico, Cody, Bellinger, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki were all above 3.
All
above 3.
better wins above replacement on Fangraphs.
And then you had
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
You had Mike Tauchman at 1.8.
Tauchman better.
Christopher Morel at 1.4, who we know
Morel was better.
Never really found a home at defense and wasn't great whenever
potentially
he
could have had a
there.
higher wins above replacement.
That's right, Rick Dallas. Morel better than Vlad. That's what we're saying.
Yan Gomes,
straight up trade.
Yan Gomes exactly 1 wins above replacement according to Fangraphs, so the same. And Nick Madrigal was at
here's the one
0.9, so just below.
So what we're saying on this podcast, for those of you in Toronto, is that Nick Madrigal is just slightly less valuable than Vlad Guerrero Jr.
That's what Luke Stuckmeyer is saying on this podcast.
Right now, we're telling
Don't
you.
let the facts get in the way of a good story.
F4 tells you that right now, Vlad Guerrero is just slightly better than Nick Madrigal if you want to make that trade straight up.
Well, so I can't stop laughing.
Madrigal and Morel for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Done.
Yeah. So anyway, I agree that you still have to pay a decent price because he is young. He is young. But again, I think considering the contract situation, I don't know how much time they have left because I don't know if they'll extend him. It's not like the Blue Jays are known to be giving out massive contracts to teams. I know they paid George Springer. But they still have to. I don't think Bichette, his contract. I think he's
got 2 more years on his contract.
Yeah, the point is they got to mix it up. If it's not him, then finally tell me Bo Bichette. Can Bo Bichette play third? Yeah. You want to give up on Bo Bichette? I'll roll the dice there too.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking too. Is just they need to change things up there, or they're going to end up like the Cubs between 2018 and 2020.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that. The Cubs have a hole at first base, and we just highlighted that he hasn't been good defensively at first base. But man, if this guy hits, at the very least, you can put him at DH if it gets so bad at first base. You know
Let's say what they ask for is sort of crazy, right? You're like, I'm not going to give up on these 3-4 prospects. Would you rather bet on a guy that hit 48 bombs at 22 in Major League Baseball? Or would you rather bet on the 4 prospects who have never played at Major League Baseball's level? Well, I'll be honest with you. I'd be willing to give away some pretty decent prospects to bet that Vlad Guerrero Jr. can bounce back to closer to that 6-WAR player than any of those players ever will.
Do you think that they'd have to give, how Cerami said yesterday that they wouldn't have to give up PCA and Horton
because he's closer to being a free agent?
I think
and the money.
I think it's a similar situation, and I think it may be less for Vlad than what you have to get for Soto because I think Soto's a better player.
I do too.
But just overall, I agree with Cerami that the tippy top guys in the system are those those guys don't get traded anymore. When you think about a decade ago what the Cubs were doing, bringing prospects in Addison Russell and some of those guys, teams don't do that anymore, and so especially for guys so they're both 2 more years or Soto's 1 year of control, 2 years. What am I looking at? Soto's 1 year.
1 year control.
Yeah. And so I guess Vlad does have 2, so maybe that ups the price a little bit. But I don't think for either of those guys you're giving up the tippy top prospects in the system.
I love the chat. It's
Rick
called
Dow says Morel would have hit 48 if you gave him the whole season.
I disagree, but
I disagree
I love
too,
the energy.
But if the Blue Jays were looking for prospects and somebody that had been in the major leagues that has maybe a ceiling up there. All right, so they want Morel to replace the big swing bat for Vlad Guerrero. They want the Canadian, Owen Casey. They want him off your list. They want Jackson Ferris, one of your pitching prospects. They ask for those 3 guys and Patrick Wisdom, whatever I don't know what the deal is. I'm just saying I agree with Cody. At the winter meetings or the GM meetings, it would behoove Jed to be like, hey, Toronto, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Tell me what you want me to offer you for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Tell me what you want me to offer you for Bo Bichette, if he can play third. I don't know that he can play third, but if he could play third, what would it take?
Yeah.
They've got some really interesting players.
And again, it has everything to do with the fact that they just need to change things up.
Yep.
And
the Cubs need to be bold.
And the Cubs need to be bold, man. Yeah. Vlad Jr. at his peak is one of the best players in the league. At his peak. And the thing is like it's not like he's 27, 28. He's going to be 25 next year. Like just like Juan Soto's 25 years old. The only difference is that Juan Soto has consistently been one of the best players in the league his entirety of being in baseball. And Vlad Jr., he had one really, really great season. And even though the defense hasn't been good the last few years, and he's had some, the power numbers have dipped considerably because 48, 32, then 26, that makes you a little concerned. But at the age, and maybe that change of scenery a little bit, and whatever else, like, and you get him for 2 years of control too.
Cody Bellinger was once one of the greatest players in baseball too, and all of a sudden he became available. Mm-hmm. Chris Bryant was one of the best players in baseball, MVP. He became available. Players become available. Big name guys. It doesn't take long for a team to be like, I wonder if this is the time to move this guy. Yeah. At least kick the tires on some of these players. You've got to go to the teams that are frustrated by their failure and say, how about we work together? How about we make something work here? Let's make our fan base
Blue Jays
happy.
Fan in the chat. It says we are keeping Vladdy. It's Juan Soto, not Vladdy.
The whole chat.
Oh, it's Jonathan Taves apparently.
The whole chat is turning on you, Stucky.
Whole chat is against me.
How does it feel? Because everyone's always turning on
Barb says I'm taking edibles. Listen, this isn't even my idea. It's Cody's. I'm just saying I sort of agree with the guy.
It's not a bad idea.
It's not. This is Wild Thought Wednesday. It's what happens on a Wednesday.
It's not like we're sitting here reporting that's going to happen. But don't tell me you're not going to get up for Vlad Jr. on this on opening day if he's on this roster. Like he's one of the best power hitters in the league.
This isn't Milquetoast Monday. This is Wild Thought Wednesday. Why not Vlad Guerrero Jr.?
Milk toast.
Yeah. Well, Garrett said his bat is trash. I disagree very wholeheartedly. I think he's still a very good hitter. I mean, he had a 118 WRC plus, and we're talking about him having a down year, right?
Right.
Like
yes.
So.
It's just trending down.
I don't know. His strikeout and walk rates are
great.
Are great.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's always just so hard. Like the way trade markets evolve, even just in a single year, but just like over time, to really project what a team, what one individual team is looking for certain players, right? So I couldn't tell you what the Blue Jays would want for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., even if he is available, which I don't think they're going to make him available for cheap.
So he's not necessarily available, is what you're saying?
I don't think he's one of the guys they're shopping around. Is in my opinion.
I don't either, but I think most players in baseball are available
if you make
the right offer for the right price.
For sure, everyone is, but that's what I'm saying. Like they're not going to be shopping around Vlad, but like you said, if Jed reaches out and says like, what is Vlad potentially available? What do you want for him? Like sure, that could happen, but
if they wanted PCA, would you cough up PCA for Vlad Guerrero Jr.? Come on.
Probably not.
One guy was a superstar at 22 already at Major League Baseball.
It depends on if that's all you have to give up. I'd flip just PCA for Vlad Jr. Yeah. But if you're telling me I have to flip three other guys, no.
Yeah.
That's fair. But I think if we're looking at it like
based off like the season, like cuz it's all about what have you done for me lately? And yeah, he's drove runs in, he's hit homers, all this, but yeah, it's not like he's at his peak right now.
I don't think PCA for Vlad Guerrero Jr. is it anyway. But like you're not giving up PCA, but you're giving up lesser prospects, quote unquote, just because they're not their number one prospect in the system. But you're giving up 2 or 3 of those guys.
Owen Casey back to Canada. Canadian fans would love Owen Casey.
Jeez. That's why I don't like doing this, because he just throws crazy crap in the air. And
he does it worse than me.
Wednesday. It's not me. It's Cody's fault. He brought it up.
The actual idea of trading for Vlad isn't crazy.
No.
What you're saying and what the trade should be is, yes, it's a little crazy. I don't think you have to send 4 guys to get Vlad Jr.
I don't think
Definitely
you
not
would
4
either.
like top tier guys.
Yeah,
But it's what I said at the top of the podcast. Like, they better start thinking about okay, can I afford to take a gamble on Vlad Guerrero Jr. for these prospects? Hey, man, 1 game. They finished 1 game ahead of you, and they're in the World Series. I think having Vlad Guerrero Jr. on your team might be worth some prospects.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying that you don't send prospects, a prospect or 2 for Vlad Jr. Maybe throw in a major league player. But I'm not going all in. Like,
I don't think
sending anyone on the farm for Vlad Jr. I'd rather.
I'm not going to give the whole farm.
Well, no.
But what about the silo? Okay, maybe.
You are killing me right now.
Silo.
I'd give up the silo.
The chicken coop? Would you give the chicken
I'd
coop
get
too?
I'd sell the chicken coop too.
Oh, man.
I'd trade the chicken coop and the silo for Vlad Guerrero Jr.
All right, man. Oh, at least we can agree to disagree. It's good. It's healthy. It's good. It's healthy.
All right, we're back to reality as we grade. Adbert
Mike Dub
Alzolay
says
second.
Madrigal and Bodie for Vlad. Who says no? I like it.
The chat is so angry with this segment.
They don't like it. Don't like.
Yeah.
Just wait till the
Garrett
next
is
wild
heated.
card Wednesday or wild
Heated at
thought
the
Wednesday.
moment. Oh man, that was
Just live a little, folks.
man. We need to get to the full off season so we have actual things.
Everybody
to talk
relax.
About.
Maybe take a trip to Sunnyside. You know what I'm saying? Everybody go to Sunnyside. Get your feels on.
Absolutely. You're going to need to if we keep having these types of conversations. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your football season. Basketball season starts tonight. Hockey season, just every season, to be honest with you. No matter where you are on your cannabis journey, easy online ordering and in-store pickup. And on top of that, they have a great transparent loyalty program called Sunnyside Rewards. It's Illinois' favorite dispensary. Some of the favorites include Mindy's, which has the best tasting gummy and chocolate edibles created by James Beard Award-winning chef Mindy Siegel and Cresco Labs. Good News, Cresco, High Supply, Florcol, Wonder, and a lot more. So, check those out. They have some of the best out there. Through October 31st, head to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer, not stackable with other promotions. That's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your football season, basketball season, baseball season, whatever season it is. It doesn't matter. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med card holder. Luke?
Yesterday, we talked about trading for Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
Why not consider trading for Vlad Guerrero Jr.? That's all we were saying.
That is all we were saying.
That's all we're really saying.
You were just taking it to another level.
Well, I started throwing names around. But Taves has turned it around here in the live chat now saying, wow, if you re-signed Bellinger and you added Vlad Guerrero.
You did say that.
Okay, now you've made yourself what we're asking for, a serious contender going into next season. What you really want to do, though, is drive around and think about it before you make any big deal. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, we have some great news for you. This is Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake, and they have joined the CHGO team. At Ray CDJR, you're always able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and find unforgettable savings. And right now, during Ram Power Days at Ray CDJR, only in Fox Lake, you're able to secure 0% financing or 17% off new Ram models. Again, 0% financing or 17% off new Ram models. But that's not all. Now, through Halloween, October 31st, explore their newly renovated showroom and take advantage of limited time 7-year anniversary savings. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then check out our team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com today. Serving the community since 1963. Ram Power Days.
Nice. That was good. That was that was from deep down, like
even with a cold. Cody, how about a DraftKings pick of the week that's wilder than the idea of trading for Vlad Guerrero Jr.?
I may have 1 or 10 bets on the Bulls game tonight. But the one that I really like the most, unfortunately, is not a Bulls player, is a Thunder player, and it is Chet Holmgren to score
the skinny guy, the tall skinny guy.
Yeah, from Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I have him to score 15 points tonight at plus 210. He was like their number 2 overall pick last year, and then he missed all of the season because of an injury. So this is tonight's technically his first career NBA game. He had a good preseason. I think the market's low, so give me Chet Holmgren to score 15 tonight. If you want a Bulls pick, I like Nikola Vucevic, points, rebounds, and assists. I think it's the total is 31.5.
Vooch.
I like him to go over.
Yeah. Vooch is back, isn't he?
Vooch is back.
I think Vooch goes 20 and 10 tonight at least.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That'd be nice. Be nice to see.
So yeah, there's 2. I get instead of 1, I gave you 2. Big of me. Credit to me.
Credit to Cody. Mike Dubs had the same bet. All right, report cards. We got a little bit of time left for a report card today. We've got time for 1. We're going to grade Adbert Alzolay. We talked to him at Cubs convention. We're like, "What do you think?" He said, "I'd like, if all vibes are equal, I'd like to be the closer. That's what I get the most juice from." Sure enough, partway through the season, they finally made him the closer. Cody, look at these grades.
I am once again the lowest.
Yeah.
Cody's the low man, Ryan's the high man, and I'm in the middle.
See, I mean, it's not much
B,
different.
B plus, B minus.
Right. Like I think if you were to go lower than a B minus, I think those reasonings aren't necessarily his fault. Like to me, they rode Michael Fulmer as the closer for way too long, and Adbert Alzolay should have been the closer sooner. I also, can't you got to factor in the injury at the end of the year. I mean, him being hurt was a big part of why they didn't make playoffs. They didn't have anyone to, it led to them overusing Julian Merriweather too.
It's been the biggest problem of his career.
Yeah,
right.
But
all the time.
This was the best year of his career. He had a 2.67 earned run average. He appeared in 58 games, which is a career high. I know this was like his first full year as a reliever, but this was the year where we finally got to see some things that what we all hoped that he could be. And I would say he definitely, for me at least, exceeded expectations just because we went into the year and we were thinking maybe he could be the closer by the end of the year, but we just weren't really sure how they were going to manage the bullpen. I know going into the year I was optimistic about some of the guys on the farm coming up and maybe making a huge impact. I'm like Daniel Palencia is a name that I've mentioned many times that I thought maybe at some point could be the closer. But obviously a lot of those guys didn't work out, or at least they had their struggles and they have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to be effective at the major league level. Alzolay, I mean, no matter what role they had him in the bullpen, he excelled at it pretty well. I dink him a little bit on the injury at the end of the year because the best ability is availability. And it's not like he was an all-star closer or anything like that. He was good. He had, I believe he finished the year with the most saves in the second half of the season. So he did his job, but was he lights out? Did you feel like it was over when he went out there? Sometimes, yes, but I wouldn't say consistently I felt like that, especially as time went on. But so like I guess for me now, it's like, how can you build off this? How can you get to like that next level if you really are going to be the Cubs closer? I don't know if he can do it. I don't know if this is the peak. I hope it's not, because what we saw is really good, but I think it can be better. And that's why for me it was a B minus, because I think I want to see more. I want to see something that really, like, I want to see like what I saw from like Kevin Ginkel last night for the Diamondbacks, going in the 8th inning and striking out the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see more strikeouts from Adbert in the late innings, man. Like that. You want to talk about why the Diamondbacks got to where they were? They were striking dudes out. Whether it was their starting pitcher, Fat, who had like 9, Ginkle going out there, striking outside in the 8th inning, and then Sewall going out there and closing the door. You know what I mean? Like that. I know the Cubs as a whole, as a bullpen, were in the top 5 or 6 in terms of total strikeouts overall. But I feel like a lot of, like, I know Collada, he's not high on Alzolay as a closer. It's probably because he's not striking out a lot of guys, right? And so, like, that's what I want. I want to see more strikeouts if he's going to be an 8th or 9th inning guy. So yeah, it was a good season. It was higher than what I expected, but I want more.
I definitely think I'm higher on what Alzolay was able to do this year than Cody is.
Obviously, based off the grade.
Based
off the grade.
I mean,
but still in the B family.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, the same as you, like, had to ding him a little bit because of September and just getting, obviously injury, the best abilities availability, health plays a factor in my grade too. So dinged him a little bit, but I mean, you looked at what he was able to do this year. He converted, was it 22 out of his first 23 save opportunities, and he didn't even get his first save opportunity till May 6th, I want to say it was. So I remember, like, looking at it, and there was a point in time when it was 22 out of 23, I want to say. And out of every reliever that had that many save opportunities, like, it was like 2 or 3 guys maybe throughout baseball had as high as a conversion rate on saves. So, like, he, for a good portion of the season, was pitching or was closing games at an elite level. Like, I'm not saying he's an elite closer, but he was pitching and saving games, closing out games at an elite level, at the same level as some of the guys, like who the Reds closer. I can't remember his last name.
Oh, Diaz.
Rob Dibble.
Yeah, Diaz.
Who?
What?
Rob Dibble.
Oh, I thought you said nipple. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm going back too far.
Yeah. Anyway,
My bad.
But he was doing that.
My bad.
And one of the other things that I really loved to see out of Adbert this year, what's been his biggest issue that we've seen while he's been a starting pitcher?
Struggled against lefties.
Against lefties, right? He didn't put up, like, elite numbers against lefties this year, but everything across the board was down from, like, I mean, look at his 2021, which is, he missed all of 2022, so 2021 was his last full season. Lefties had a 924 OPS against him. This year he got it down to a 725. Are those still, like, do you want to see better numbers out of that? For sure. But I think taking it down, almost 200 percentage points, however you say that.
Yeah, I don't number.
It went from 924 to 725 in a year. Me and Brendan, wrote a story earlier in the season in June. You can go check it out on ALLCITY.com if you want. On our brand new website, which looks really cool.
It does.
Sign up to be a diehard.
Can confirm.
Me and Brendan, like, took a deep dive on the numbers and his pitch metrics and all that stuff, and you could see he made very real strides in working to get those lefties out, which is why he had so much success as a closer this year. I'm with you. I want to see more, and I don't know if when this team is a World Series contender that he is the closer, but he showed real strides in a new role, right? Like a role he didn't really have before at the major league level, except for the end of 2021 when he came back. Just straight up 1 inning, maybe 2 innings, but high leverage, back end of game type role. He never had that at the major league level, and for most of the season he thrived in that. When he finally got that opportunity, he thrived. He made real strides as a reliever, as a closer, and so I think that was a very good season for him. It wasn't A level, right? But I thought it was where we've been giving guys Bs and whatever. Like, I thought B+ fit for Adbert because of the strides he showed, the level he was pitching at for a long stretch of the season. I really liked what I saw out of him this year, and I think whether it's closing games or 8th inning, setup man, whatever, when this team is ready to win, he's going to be right in the mix of that back end reliever group.
Yeah, you guys both make good points. I like Cody's point that when he comes into the game, maybe it's not enough strikeouts for a closer, and I don't necessarily feel like Kenny freaking Powers is coming to the game or Mariano Rivera, but I feel pretty good that he is coming to the game. 22 out of 23, good point. That's why I land right in the middle with a solid B. I will say the fist pump after the game has me leaning closer to the B+ than it does the B-, but I'm going to land right in the middle with a B because I think He exceeded my average expectation for this season. The injury at the end, while not his fault, it definitely cost the Cubs. And again, they finished one game behind the team that's going to the World Series. So we want him to be durable, which is something he hasn't necessarily been in his career, but it was still a good season. On the mound, when he was on the mound, he definitely made progress. It was his best season of his career, for sure, when he was on the mound. So I think a B is a fair grade.
Yeah, and the strikeout, like you guys have said, that's very fair. Like, he didn't have high strikeout numbers, but his walk rate was crazy low. I was looking at it right now. His walk rate is in the 92nd percentile in baseball. Like, that's crazy low number. And for a closer, I mean, some of the best relievers are guys that have a lot of strikeouts but do walk a lot of guys. So do you want Adbert Alzolay to strike out a bunch of guys? Absolutely, if he's going to be the closer. But are you at least comfortable with it because he also doesn't walk a lot of guys? That offsets a little bit. I mean, we'll see if he can improve that strikeout number moving forward and still keep the walk rate low. Like, that's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
But, like, I just think he made real strides this season as a back-end guy and showed that, again, when this team is ready to win, like, he's got potential to be a very trusted reliever for him.
Yeah. Maybe my B- is a little too low.
Oh, watch out. Colada's going to call you. You're going to say you're going
I'm not changing. I'm not
landed
changing.
it right in the middle. He's definitely in the B range. I don't think he's an A. I don't think he's a C. He's somewhere in the B range. I'll be interested to see what grade we give Wisniewski. By the way, that bobblehead you can get at FOCO. If you want to get fitted with the best sports gear around, hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between, maybe it's an Aloha shirt. Maybe it's a hoodie for the winter. Our set decorations, a lot of them come from FOCO. They hook us up. Check out FOCO.com. Click the link in description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. We still got to see if they get that Schwarmer bobblehead. Still got to check it out.
Still got to check it out.
Yeah, and while we're just talking about checking things out, check out DraftKings.
Ooh.
NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season with an instant dub. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at even bigger basketball wins. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Cody, what'd you say your Bulls bets were?
I'm taking here, I'll just give you the three. I'm taking Zach LaVine over 2.5 threes because the team's planning to shoot more threes this year, and he has the most volume. He takes the most threes of anyone on the team. Vooch over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And then the last one is Patrick Williams over 10.5 points. He has gone over that total against the Thunder in every game of his career against the Thunder except for one.
Okay. Well, if you want to just go make it easy, they got on DraftKings the Bulls at -2.5. The money line's at -135. So Bulls are favored apparently in this game. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. But basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code CHGO. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles in Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
The doozy, huh?
Why'd you give me that one?
Wanted to see what Missouri taught you.
Wanted
to see what Mizzou taught you there. That's the type of stuff you got to get boots on the ground and learn it firsthand. You don't learn that in college, how to fly through that thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Woo!
The fact that I've read it as many times just shows what all the grind and the grit that they have at the Harvard of the Midwest.
Right. Well, Cody dreams about that.
I dream about reading
he's
that.
like in his dreams. He's like Boot Hill Casino, Kansas.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a
Listen,
good story.
we're back here again, live 1:20 tomorrow for another CHGO Cubs podcast. What you learned today, that the Rangers are in the World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Who we got?
Diamondbacks are in the World Series, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. probably going to be traded to the Cubs, according to somebody.
According
somewhere.
to this podcast.
Not really.
To one person on this podcast.
Just
One and a half.
Wild Thought Wednesday.
Who's winning? Who's winning
The World Series?
Yeah, who's winning?
I think the Rangers finally win a World Series.
I'm
But
with the
boy,
Rangers.
I mean, how can you doubt a Diamondbacks team that took out the Brewers, Dodgers, and Phillies? How can you doubt them at this point?
Yeah.
Either one's a good story.
Yeah.
It'll
I'll be the
it'll
company
fun.
man and say the Diamondbacks will win. Big of me.
Oh, you're actually rooting for the company this time.
I will say, I mean, again, I was rooting for the Diamondbacks last night because, like, all right, company-wise, I'd rather see PHNX have some success because PHLY just launched.
I didn't say I was rooting for the Rangers. I'll root for the Diamondbacks.
Okay. Who do I think actually is going to win? I really do think the Diamondbacks are going to win the World Series.
I think the Rangers are going to take this one. I'm with you, Luke. We'll see.
We'll see.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be a fun series. Hopefully 6 games. We'll get at least 6 games out of it.
That'd be nice.
I love a long series.
Who's next? Hawks?
I look forward to
Sox.
the
Sox
last
are coming up
very-
next
very last
here live on YouTube. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Live at 1:20 tomorrow, Barb. We hope to see you then. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.